You think this relates to a Venetian victory in 1571 against the Turks?
Well, it wasn't just a Venetian victory. It was the Holy League. Pius V got together the League, Genoans, Spanish, Romans, and Venetians. But Venice turned out incredible numbers of galleys, which was one of the big things, and they'd had this terrible humiliation 2 years before that in Cyprus from the Turks, which seemed to be just the end of it. They killed all their officers and beheaded their leader and that kind of thing.
Once they had surrendered?
Yeah, they surrendered with a free passage, and then the Turks took them and killed them and paraded the head of their leader around the place. So utter humiliation. So when they won at Lepanto, you just can't. When the ships came back to Venice 2 days after the battle, they were trailing Turkish banners and colours from the ships in triumph, and the people on the shore thought they were Turkish ships, and they began to lament. There's a wonderful account of it, and then they realised that it was the opposite, and the whole city went mad.
So these banners were paraded at this
every year, festival. Yes. Goethe saw them in 1786. He attended the Lepanto state procession.
Over 200 years later, they were still talking about the battle.
Oh, so they continued celebrating the battle until the fall of the Republic. Every year, a huge procession, Doge Signoria, went in a barge to the church of St. Justina, who was the local saint on whose day the battle happened, the 7th of October. But they weren't the only ones. It was being celebrated in Toledo, I suspect, to this day, every year on the date of the battle, and in Rome. I don't know whether it stopped in the other places. But anyway, putting all those things together, it seemed to me that what went in there was actual martial music, that they would play fanfares at that point as they presented banners. And it was only after I'd stuck my neck out and you'd agreed to let me stick my neck out and we'd put it together that I spoke to Peter Downey, who I think is our absolute leading historical brass expert. He has done exactly the same thing in a battle mass by a composer at the same court where this music survives, a pupil of Gabrieli.
In Graz, in
Austria, yes. He had come to exactly the same conclusion. Throughout this mass, you get 2 bars rests, 4 bars rests, and it's complete. All the parts are silent.
Because that's not the sort of music.
He has put in exactly the same thing that I've done.
That's not the sort of music you would write down. You'd say to your brass players, give me one of those fanfares, play me something for those 2 bars that would fit it.
They could do 2 sort of things. They could play those fanfares which they knew, and the other thing that we've done, as you know, is to do a sort of reminiscence of part of a piece that was written after Lepanto, was this aria della battaglia by Andrea Gabrieli, which is a great big...
Which itself is quoting Clément Janiquin from 1528.
This battle piece is based on that. But you could just say to them, sort of do it, and they would sort of half do it from memory, half busk it. And so I've sort of half rewritten it
rehearsed it a couple of times and it
But they were used to playing things from half memory,
especially
like jazz players.
Especially brass players.
Yes.